Hey guys, Deek on the Creek back here. We're going light today. We're not looking for 15-pound carp anymore. That is sort of, that excitement has sort of died down. And while I, could go back out there and catch another one, because we saw about 4 of them, I just want to sort of let that ecosystem be over there. Me and my buddies had been fishing it every day for about a week and a half. And while it doesn't seem too detrimental, there's only so much water there and only so many fish to catch. And I just want to keep that population healthy and try and make sure that it's still a good spot to fish. We don't overpressure it or overfish it. And I'm trying out a new rig today. Found an old chest rig for a GoPro sort of thing. I got a little handheld thing on my phone as well, so I can, so I can angle it as much as I want while being able to, I got my phone's stable camera on there. Hopefully it doesn't mess with the magnification at all, because I've been recording on 0.6 non-stabilization, so you can see everything that I see. But right now, I'm just walking down this street. Ain't much to see. Some trees. It's quite beautiful. You've got the creek down there. Eventually, once I do get in the water, I'll probably switch it back. But just let me know down in the comments if it's too much or it's too little. I'm still working this stuff out. It's the first time using this, so hopefully it turns out well. We got a little path down here that I like to take. This is a drainage tunnel from the woods across. There's a little tunnel right there. And how I know the creek is so low is that usually the water comes up to about where my rod is. So it's down maybe 3 or 4 feet. I'm going to go ahead and walk down that way. See my rod pointing to it. Some stuff cracking in the water over there. I don't really feel like wading today, but I'm going to for the sake of, videos and hoping to get to a good spot. And I always wear these slides when I go wading. It's very important to make sure that you have a grippy shoe that will grip onto this algae and mud and crap in the water. This is still sort of an urban creek, so it's not the cleanest thing ever. Lots of pollution. It's not as polluted as the Ohio River, don't get me wrong, but you know, it's still quite dangerous to walk barefoot in here. Tons of broken glass. You know, there could be hooks. You know, even just sharp rocks. And also, I tell you, if you're gonna wade down here, or even just get in the water, make sure you don't have any open wounds or nothing that can let water to it. I do got a nasty scrape on my foot right there, out of my ankle. You know, these bugs have been biting so much recently that I just got tired of it and scraped my skin with a little piece of slate until it broke. And every time I get in the creek, if I have an open wound or something like that, I always like to go home, wash it out with clean water. It can be water from your hose, it can be water from your sink. As long as it's not creek water, you're good. That's usually from me taking a shower. And you can use soap if you want. Some random car parts down here. You can use soap. You can use, you know, something fungal soap. Man, that is a speedometer right there. How disgusting. People leave just anything down here. You can see that right there. And then after you wash it out, put some hydrogen peroxide on it just to kill any nasty stuff that might be in your way. We got a little wagon here, radial flyer. I'll put a thing down here, see if it still works. Ooh. Like a little kitty radial flyer. It's actually not too bad. You know, I hate to leave stuff down here like this in the creek, but I always gotta say to myself, how would I get it out? Because you look here, there's a whole big wall of crap that I'm not gonna be able to scale. And I really don't feel like dragging up a 15-pound, 20-pound wagon I might not even use. And it would be hard to repurpose. So you can only hope that, you know, once the water gets higher, gets taken by the current, and gets taken down to the Ohio, or somebody might be able to get it on the banks. And I got to do that with a lot of stuff. You know, I got a little plastic trash bag here. It's a TJ Maxx or Five Below bag I carry my fishing stuff in. But it also doubles as a way to pick up little bits of trash, you know, that I just see across the creek and the creek banks. Or if I break a lure and I can't repurpose it, and I don't want to carry it in my pockets, or my pockets are full, or sometimes I wear swim trunks that don't even got pockets, I just throw it in a bag. This is something I've started doing recently, and it's really helped. And I don't really care to haul around a giant tackle box with literally everything in it. You know, I got catfish stuff in there, I got carp stuff in there, I got stuff that could catch gar. Some fish this big, I don't know if the camera can see it. Fish that big I got in there. Oop. But I just don't feel like holding that around. And I'll prepare accordingly to to what I'm trying to fish for. Today I'm just going for smallmouth. And in my previous video, the first fish I caught was not actually a smallmouth. It was a spotted bass. I was talking with my friend lunch today at school, and he said, that doesn't look like a smallmouth. I said, you're right. But he started saying that it was a largemouth. And I have never seen largemouth in here or in this creek. And you don't find largemouth too abundantly in the Ohio River. So, you know, I talked with him and said, like, you can believe it's a smallmouth or largemouth, and I can believe it's a spotted bass. Doesn't really matter. I still caught a fish, but you know, I still appreciate that fish. But I've caught spotted bass before here, and they're just more common in creeks than anything else. And largemouth, they're in Indiana. They're in every state pretty much, besides Alaska, Hawaii, and some stuff up north. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, Indiana's got largemouth, but you're really only going to find them in ponds or lakes. They're not big river fish, and you could tell me if I'm wrong about that one as well. But I just like to, I like to think that they would be better off in ponds and lakes, because that's where I always see them getting caught on, you know, my YouTube and whatnot. And the Ohio River is not a very good place for largemouth. It's just, you know, I don't know if you can catch largemouth in there. I don't know if you could catch largemouth in the Mississippi or, you know, any other major river that's wider than about 300 feet across. I just don't think it's a very good environment for them to live. Up here on our left, we got quite the beauty. I don't know if it looks too good on the camera, but the sun is right over there and just casting its shadow right on these leaves here. It's always so beautiful coming out here near sunset. You know, you get all this get all these trees and green life, and they just turn beautiful yellow gray, or yellow green. And usually the clouds down here are just amazingly beautiful. I used to do photography. I'm getting ready to get back into it. You know, I just got my camera stuff out today for the first time in maybe 6 or 7 months. And so, you know, once I get something out after not touching it for a while, I usually spark back into it. And there's just, I know so many more spots now than what I did at the time, to where I could just get some beautiful photos. And I wasn't bad at photography. I used to think, or I like to think that I'm pretty good. You know, to each their own, but I think I was pretty decent. I might put some photos of mine up on the screen. And there's just so many spots that I know now that I didn't at the time. And at the time, I wasn't into fishing much. I got into fishing about maybe February this year, Maybe, later than that. A little later. You know, I loved fishing in the past, but I never knew a whole lot about it. Whew. It gets real, I don't know if you can see, but there's little things, weeds and algae growing on the bottom here. It's making me really slippy. Just emphasizes the importance of having good shoes that preferably rubber to wade the creek in. Hopefully, if you see my videos, you get the incentive to go out and fish. I love spreading the activity with people, or the sport with people. And you know, just seeing somebody's face when they catch their first fish is amazing. I might do some tips videos for this creek that I've learned over the past couple months fishing it. I'm not going to give out any spots. You know, if any of you were hoping to get some. I know quite a lot of people that I've given good spots to, but you got to know me to be able to get to the spots. And you know, some people, I love them to death, but I just won't trust them with a rod and a fish on it. And the creek is sort of, for me, the creek is, it's isolated, it's quiet, it's nice, it's away from all the commotion of life. Any stress you might be feeling, you know, just come out here for 25 minutes and it's all gone. And I love to share, you know, coming out here with people. If you ask me to take you out to Silver Creek, I will. But if you ask me to take you out fishing to Silver Creek, it's just something, I gotta know you really well. I gotta really trust you to follow my direction and be willing to learn. And by no means am I a master fisherman. I don't have 500 sponsors and a shirt on my back with my name on it. But I do have a rod, and I have caught some nice fish, and I got some nice experience, particularly in this creek. And if this creek weren't so small, I would probably put myself up as a fishing charter to fish this place, because I've spent enough time down here and enough of my hours in the day to get down here and learn and experience. And you know, you can be, crawdad right there, see him? Right there on my rod tip. No, he just went under. You know, you could catch 5 pound, 6 pound, 10 pound bass every weekend. But if you go to a spot that you have no idea where the fish are, you're just not going to catch anything. And I used to think that this creek just had super tiny little fish that would never bite anything I threw out. But I was also not only inexperienced in the creek at that point, I was also very inexperienced with fishing as a whole. You know, I tied on a bobber to a soft plastic 6-inch worm I have no idea what I was thinking. Ooh. I had no idea what the different types of fish there were. I had no idea what lures were good. And I didn't even really have that many lures at the time. I had a rod with a split shot and a bobber and a hook that I used to take up to my uncle's house, who lives on the St. Joseph River. And I'd catch sunfish about that big all day long. And I thought that was all there was to fishing. You know, set out a worm and bobber and hope that in the 3 hours that you're out there, you get something to bite your worm and hurl it in and then hurl it back after 5 seconds. But that's, you know, not what it is for me anymore. After spending the time out here and getting to love nature and getting to love this part of my city, I've learned that fishing is more than just catching fish, or it's more than just waiting. Not waiting, but waiting. Once I actually started getting active and started to make choices about fishing, that's when I really, you know, discovered its purpose and meaning in my life. I know fishing for some is just, yeah, let's go throw out a lure and fight the fish and have a good time. But for me, it's a combination of respect for the outdoors, trying to be a steward, love for the outdoors. It's just so beautiful out here, and you know, the occasional power line or piece of trash like that snaps you out of it sometimes. But when you really start appreciating the little things out here, whether it be a little mayfly that you see or a little crawdad in the water, or just even the way that the silk kicks up when you walk by, it becomes way more meaningful and way more fun. And a lot of people can't see it that way. A lot of people have a very closed mind. So a lot of people are so accustomed to the indoors that they think that coming out here is a waste of their time. You know, you get bug bites and it's hot out and you haven't drank anything in 6 hours, haven't eaten anything in 3. And they just think it's a waste of their time, and they think that it's stupid, and they just shy away. But a lot of that is because people don't have a good mentor a lot of the time. I like to consider myself a good mentor. I think if you ask some of my friends, I could be a good mentor to them. But a lot of people's mentors are their father, or their grandpa, or their uncle. Sometimes, you know, it's their mom, or their aunt, or their grandma, or a friend. But when people aren't introduced formally to fishing, and they aren't given the opportunity to have an open mind, then I don't think they're ever going to appreciate it. And when I tell people I fish, people who don't fish, or at least people who don't have the same mindset that I do about coming out here and fishing and enjoying the outdoors. They just think that I like to throw out a hook, rip it through some poor fish's lip, and then throw it out. But that's not it at all. Fishing for me is coming out here, taking a break from everything else, having a great time. You know, I'm having a great time even if I don't catch fish. And a lot of people say that different fish are trash fish, or fish this and fish that. Do it this way, do it that way. But fishing means something different for everyone. And if you're watching this channel and you don't fish, I urge you, find somebody in your life that can teach you how to do it. It could be a friend. It could be a family member. It could be a coworker. Just ask around. See if anybody will be able to get you out there. And if you don't, go ahead and leave a comment. You know, my channel's small enough, and I think it's going to stay small enough that I'll be able to make a personalized video for everybody that asks me. You know, whether it could be from how do I tie my hook on, to how to find places that fish are at, to what gear it is that I use, even down to specifics. I'm more than happy to let you know. You know, if you know me personally, go ahead and send me a text message. I just hope everybody can experience fishing. You know, in their lifetime. And I really hope and pray that everybody in their life gets to see, you know, not even just fishing, but being outdoors and doing cool stuff like this the same way that I do. It's been a while since I've casted out. Let me check the recording. 26 minutes. I've been talking for 26 minutes. Well, we're closing in on the spot here. I'm going to try and get to the spot. I'm going to stop the recording. You know, I've been talking quite a lot. It's going to be quite a long video. I'll put some timestamps down in the description so you don't have to sit through me talking if you don't want to. You know, people's attention spans are really messed up nowadays, or if you just don't like my voice. You know, I do got a lisp. It is a part of me. There's a little fish I'm seeing. Little spotted. Oh, it's right there, ain't it? I'm not going to. You know, I do get that my voice can be annoying at times. I do stumble on my words a lot. I'm not that well spoken compared to a lot of people. But you know, I'm trying my best out here. I'm just trying my best to get the best content, or get the best stories out there. Whether you watch them or not, it's just, you know, it's fun to do for me. And just being able to document stuff as, ooh, big spider right there. I'm gonna stay down over here. It's just fun for me. You know, if I'm in class bored or something, you know, I just pull up my channel and watch my own self fish. I think that's pretty cool. And there are hundreds of thousands maybe even millions of fishing channels out there. If you just so happen to stumble upon mine, hopefully you enjoy the stuff that I'm putting out. I got a couple video ideas planned. Might go down the Ohio River and catfish. I got a Berkley 8-foot big game rod with a 30-pound mono on it and a size 7,000 reel. And I got circle hooks about that wide and about that big. I gotta get bait, but my papaw should be hooking me up with that minnow trap soon. Hopefully I'll get some cut up bait and stuff. I'm also thinking about going to Walmart soon and picking up some different stuff. I'll get a Ned rig. You know, I've only ever used a Ned rig once. And it was one that I found in the creek. It was in real good condition. No rust or nothing. Somebody must have just, you know, lost it within a short time frame of me finding it. And it was the most fun lure I've ever used. It, you know, just bouncing it off the bottom, amazing. And it just so happened to be that when I tied on the Ned rig for the first time, my first ever cast, it was at the spot that I caught the carp at. I saw, it looked like a flathead, maybe a bullhead catfish, about the size, maybe that long, good sized catfish. And then I saw 2 of the massive grass carp swimming right by it. And on that same cast, I caught a nice smallmouth on it. So I was really excited. I hardly even cared about the smallmouth because of the 3 giant fish I just saw. But, you know, Ned rigs are some of the best smallmouth bait for freshwater. Smallmouth just love it. I mean, some of the best bait for smallmouth in all of freshwater fishing, especially for this creek. You know, I caught a fish on my very first cast, and I casted it out, and I'm pretty sure I got a bite right after that. Wasn't the same fish either, I don't think. Might be making stuff up, figment of my imagination, but hopefully I can get out to Walmart and pick some of that stuff up. I also been meaning to get a larger net. You know, that I think one of the main reasons that carp died was because I couldn't net it properly, which led it to swim back out into the water and then get reeled back in and swim back out. And it was bleeding really bad too. You know, I hated to see it like that, but I was really trying my best. I just couldn't get it back in. And by the time I actually got it on land, it was just exhausted. And all of that could have been avoided. It probably could have survived. I know it was a grass carp, but there's no cops out here. There's no game wardens. You'd be hard pressed to find even another person out here, you know, in these parts of the creek. So it wouldn't really been too bad. And they are invasive, so they do affect the ecosystem in a negative way most of the time. But from what I've observed and from what I've guesstimated, the carp down there don't do hardly any damage, because the amount of healthy large fish in that fishing hole, you know, that ecosystem was just quite amazing. you know, some of the healthiest fish I've seen, especially in this creek. So I really don't think that they were causing too much harm, and especially, you know, that thing had probably been living for 5 years, and I, you know, hated to throw its life away just to make a video about, or just to catch and call it a trophy. So I'll definitely pick up some Ned rigs, and I'm gonna pick up a bigger net, and there might be some other lures and stuff that I might try out there. I might make a, you know, one of them trendy, can this fishing kit actually catch fish sort of thing. You know, I saw a couple guys doing that with like a saltwater fishing box. I'll see if I can link that video down below in the description. You know, go watch him. Some pretty good videos. Definitely teaches you a lot how to fish as well. He's very, very helpful. So we're just closing back up on the spot here from yesterday. I think the creek has gotten even lower, so those fish have sort of been clumped way together even more. You know, I saw that giant school of shad. I just saw a fish over there swim. Smallmouth, or maybe hybrid striped. It's hard to find hybrid striped in this area. There's quite a bit more, let me think, down back that way. Let's see if there's a nice deep hole right here. I'm just trying to scout them out. I'm using the same lure from yesterday. Hopefully the fish don't remember what I was using. I really need to put a new worm on it. You know, it's cracked on one side of it. But, you know, it's still catching fish, and I'm going to use it until either the worm falls off or it's too broken to keep on the hook. And I recommend people who are going to try this lure, or any soft plastics in here, try your best not to lose them. You know, and if that means taking off your shoes and socks and rolling up your britches, you know, get in the water, get it out, please do it. Because, you know, as much as I like finding old fishing lures and repurposing them, the ones that don't get found, and there's probably hundreds of them in here from other people, they affect the ecosystem. And I'm not trying to be stingy and say like, oh, don't use soft plastics at all. Use some weird gelatin mix that biodegrades in the water. But just try and be clean in the creek. Not clean, but help keep the creek clean from trash and pollution. It always sucks just seeing random trash bags lying around, or, you know, Takis wrappers. There's a blow dryer over there, maybe a vacuum over there. And it just sucks for people trying to enjoy the area and enjoy, you know, the outdoors. It just sucks you right out of it. Especially, you know, we're so close to a very, very industrial part of the U.S., Louisville. We're about 3 or 4 miles away from Louisville. And, you know, just being able to have all this stuff out here so close to such a industrialized area is quite special, I think. So we should all try and do our best to conserve outdoor areas, keep it free of trash. You know, it helps the ecosystem, but also it helps the fish, and it honestly makes fishing better, because you come out here and see there's hardly any trash, or you know, you see healthy fish, and it just lifts your spirit quite a bit. Really makes you appreciate, you know, all the people who come out here and clean up trash voluntarily and advocate for people not leaving a bunch of crap on the ground. So whenever you can get your lure back, I recommend it. I'm seeing a lot of shines in the water here. I don't know. Oh yeah, yep. I'm seeing, let me see if I can get this on the phone. Oh, it's just the one right about there. There's a group about 5 or 6 little fish. They look like sauger, if I'm being honest, but they also might be smallmouth. They're just resting on the bank there. You know, I don't know if you can see them shining in the water, but I'm hopefully gonna cast out right in front of them over there. You know, this place is just booming right now with some fish. I gotta walk further up back this way, because I don't want to get all the stuff in this plastic bag wet. But I'm going to start recording again once I actually am able to get my line out. Oh, there's so many. There's like 20 of these guys. You guys. Oh man. Hold on, I'm going to see if I can hold this in one hand and just cast out here. Fix my lure. Oh no, they're moving. Giant school of little fish here, and they're not too little at all either. They're decently sized creek fish. Might be a whole big thing of smallmouth. Might be spotted. Might even be rock bass. You know, the way that they're shining in the water. Quite beautiful. I think they're all right there, right where my rod tip is. Let's see if I can just hold it here and cast. Oh man, they're right there. I'm gonna hopefully. Oh, bad cast, terrible cast. You know, every time that you make a bad cast, don't run the bait back in frantically. You know, it scares. Oh my gosh, you guys, there is a whole school of them. There's about, you can see that dark spot right there. There is just a ton. I'm gonna try and, right there. Come on, baby. See if we can get one. I think they're, oh, I just had a fish chase it. They're moving that way though. I don't want to scare them too much with my lure or nothing. So just a slow retrieve, bringing it in. Want some rocks there. Try and get it to move more naturally. Alright, well I've located them. I need to come back out here with a cast net, because there are just, there's maybe 50 to 100 fish. I'm not even kidding. It's so hard to see on the camera because it just looks like a big blob of, you know, dark stuff. But I'm telling you guys, there is a big school of fish down here that can't traverse these rapids until the water gets higher. And they're facing upstream anyways. So maybe they're looking to get further up the stream, you know, away from the Ohio. So I'm just gonna try and walk out to these shallows here. So I got my camera stabilizer off. so you guys can get a better point of view. You know, I hopefully don't trip or nothing. But with this setup, it allows me to actually record the catch, you know, and I don't have to set up a camera or nothing. And I'm gonna try and find them again. It looks like they've sort of stopped moving. I don't exactly know why. I don't think I scared them. There might be some over there. Oh, no. I'm just gonna cast out by that tree. That's where I think they went. Might have just got a bite, or it was just some rocks. Yeah, it was just some rocks. Oh, they're right there, you guys. Literally right there. They're just moving in a big old glob right now. I'm gonna try and run my bait right through them. Hopefully a bigger one can come and try and grab my bait. Might have just had one take a nibble at it. Oh my gosh, you guys. There are so many fish right there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's right where my rod tip is. There's like, there are so many over there. Oh, I just had a fish chase it. I don't know if you saw my rod. I got one on there right now. I'm just jigging it up in the water. He's nibbling at it. He's trying to get it. No, scared him off. He was looking for, oh my gosh, you guys. They're right there. Let me see if I can get a video of them. Oh, focus, camera, focus. Dang it. No, camera. Right there, you guys. They're just all under that rock. I'm gonna try and cast out in front of them a little bit, try not to scare them too much. And there might just be little bait fish, but they honestly look like some bigger stuff. I've had a couple fish just try and get my lure. Hopefully you guys are seeing it. Camera angle might be a little off. But man, oh man, that giant school of fish. Bigger than I've ever seen before. Oh, I'm right through the middle of them. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look. There's just so many. I'm gonna see if I can get a video. Oh. Right there. All them fish moving around in this. See all the ripples they're making? I need a cast net or something, because, you know, it'd be a very high chance of error. But if I do actually succeed in hitting them there, I just caught about 25 fish. I just had one hit it. Felt a big jolt. They might be a little too small to hit this lure, even though I got one of the tiniest lures I got tied on there right now. I'm just running it through there, trying to jig it a little bit. You know, they're interested in it. And you always just want to try and keep it right off the bottom so it doesn't look too unnatural. I'm going to stay away from those guys. Maybe try and catch one of the bigger ones hanging out over. Oh yeah, I just saw like 3 shines in the water there. I got one chasing it. Nope, you got scared. Maybe there's one or two of these big schools, because I'm seeing some shines over here, and then there's a lot just sort of sitting over there. I just had one like literally follow it, just the tail in his mouth. so many fish out here. It's just, my bait might be a little bit too big for him to grab it. I'm literally hitting the fish with my bait or my lure. I don't know if you can see them in the water there, but they're not too small fish. They're actually quite big. Just cast out right over. Hopefully I can get one today. This is actually one of my favorite spots to fish. You know, it's just peaceful with not a whole lot of trash out here. That's my plastic bag. It's just really quite peaceful out here. You know, I'm happy just being out here, even if I don't get a fish. But when I do get a fish, I'm still quite happy. They're just hiding in the rocks right there. Hopefully I can get a bigger one that's hanging on the outskirts. Maybe got a couple nibbles there, maybe hit some rocks. A lot of the time when you're fishing this creek, you're gonna feel a series of what seems to be bites, but you're actually getting caught on the little pieces of rock. You're just not snagging. This is gonna be a long video. I think I just had one, could have been a snag. Maybe they're getting too smart for this lure. Maybe I've used it too much. Hopefully I don't snag one of these things. That would suck. Yeah, so if you look, it's hard to see, but my bait was on some of the rocks there. I'm gonna start casting further downstream and just working my bait upwards, make it look more natural. That was a rock. Eventually, once you do start fishing this creek enough and you just start feeling the rocks, you'll be able to tell the difference. Just a giant school. You'll be able to tell the difference between an actual bite and a rock. Sort of splatted my bait right there. Wasn't the best thing. But you know, even sometimes it's just really hard to tell. I see them all in the water there. I think when I'm getting ready to leave, oh, that's a snag. A tip for snags, I like to get the line sort of tight, not to where oh, there we just pulled it out. But when I get snagged, I like to get tension on my line and then just let the bail up. And that spring of the rod and the line sort of springs your bait out. I'm gonna redo my weight here. Sort of springs your bait out and it helps get a lot of the snags out. It actually works quite well. And a lot of times after snags, you're gonna get your bait wrapped around your rod. I just do a couple twirls and it gets out. What was I saying? Oh yeah, hopefully when I leave, I'm thinking to just step into the middle of one of them big old schools so y'all can see what I'm talking about. They're all just circling right there. I wish I wish cameras were as good as human eyes, because what I'm seeing down here is just amazing. I mean, they're doing like Fibonacci spiral patterns, and they all scare in one direction at the same time. Oh man, a cast net would just be amazing down here. Too bad, like, good ones are $50 and up. You know, I don't need to catch giant old fish, but Just having the ability to have one would be pretty nice. This is going to be a long video, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to definitely timestamp it. You know, just let people know that it was going to be a long video. I specifically charged my phone today because I wanted to get more recording time. I might cut some of this stuff out. But, alright, well, I'm going to do one more cast out here, and then I'm going to step into the big old school of fish and just try and get them to all disperse. I got to find them again. I know there's a lot over there, but if I don't catch a fish on this cast, then I'm going to move downstream to a different spot. You know, the spots from yesterday's video. And these two videos are probably going to release on different days than what I recorded them. Okay, well, I just got to do another cast because I messed up there. I was talking and my weight's all messed up. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, these are videos. I'll probably put their dates that they were recorded in the description so you can see what season it was in Indiana if you want to go and try and recreate some of the stuff yourself. Well, I'm snagged. So I'm going to try and use my method. Just reel it in. And then hold the line. And then boom. Nope. Still stuck. Sometimes you got to try it a couple times at different angles. Oh. Well, I'm just not leading a very good example. Oh no. I just tied a Da Vinci knot. Okay. Well, we're going to have to leave this right here, and I don't know if, oh man, real bad knot right there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I got to take some time to undo this really quick. It always sucks when this happens, you know. Why'd it have to happen to me, you know? But this is a lot better, and I really like spinning reels. Compared to bait casters, just because, oh, my butt got wet. Oh man, dang it. I don't want my butt to get wet. I need some drag here. Oh, it just came right out by pulling on it. And sometimes you're going to get your reel wet. Sometimes you're going to get your rod handle wet. But it's really not a big deal. You know, as long as you dry it properly, then you'll be fine. No, I don't think water damages the line too much. Knots certainly do, though. And I'm going to try and get out here to this deeper part. You know, my butt's already wet. And try and scare this big school of fish out of here. So you guys can see them. I think, yeah, they're all right in front of me. Oh my gosh, you guys. All right in front of me. Oh, they're all swimming away. Oh. Well, yeah, I'm definitely not going to catch any more fish down here now that I've walked out. Oh, that's a foothold situation is a little concerning. A couple really big, slick rocks. I'm just not going to be able to avoid. Oh, I don't know if you guys. Yep, water's getting up to about my knees. Doesn't get much deeper than this. And I got my phone on my chest, so I'm not worried. But, Well, I just heard some people talking behind me. It's a little concerning. But, you know, if you're going to come down here and fish, you got to know that there's a very high possibility that you're going to be wet. You know, it's a creek. You can't come out here and expect to not. Okay, I'm hearing talking about over there. Maybe in the woods. I'm in public property right now, so I got nothing to worry about. But hopefully I don't get mugged or nothing. Oh, my bait got stuck on a stick. Are you serious? I'm also hearing talking from up there. There are some condos up there. I hear them. I think I'm right by a pool. The community pool. They might be looking down. Yep, they're looking down. Yep, they're just looking down right there. Ooh! Gotta be careful here. Gotta make my way back to my... How's it going? Yeah, we got some people up there just looking down from a fence. I don't know exactly what they're doing. Or, oh no, we're far from the condos right now. I just need to make it back to my bag, and I'm going over there. You know, wish I could have got a video of where they were, but I think it would have been awkward if they just saw me recording them. And I saw them talking kind of quietly close to the camera right now, so they don't think I'm a madman talking to myself. Ooh. Sometimes you're going to get interactions down here like that. One time I saw two homeless people with a bike, and they were dragging it through the water. You know, I hope that they're doing fine now. But it scared me a little bit. You know, I know I shouldn't judge, but expecting solitude and finding something that you do not see every day definitely startle you up a little bit. They're just up there on that cliff right there. I'm gonna have to see while they're leaving. They seem young, like teenagers. Maybe seniors in high school, maybe they're in college. Oh no, yeah, so you see those brick buildings up there, those are condos. Apparently there's a gate right there that they came down from. I'm gonna have to look on Google Maps and see what that was. But, you know, they're just checking out the creek. And you're gonna get interactions like that. Some good, some bad. You just gotta learn how to deal with it. You know, he said hi. I said what's up, and then I minded my own business. Didn't call out anything. They said, what are you doing? I would have said I'm fishing. You know, keep your answers short if you don't want to talk. You know, I'm not really feeling to talk right now. I mean, you know, I've been talking for the last hour maybe, non-stop to the camera. But it's different in person, especially when you expect to be alone. It's like talking to people in the bathroom, if I'm being honest. Just like a little awkward. Yeah. So I usually don't see people down here. I think I've only ever seen like 4 or 5 people doing what I'm doing before, waiting. Not all of them had a fishing rod. Not all of them were. Oh, my bag's coming apart. Not all of them were out here fishing. Not all of them were out here just to be in the creek. Some of them were, just random people doing random stuff. And that's all right. As long as they're being respectful and not bothering anything or anybody, I'm fine with it. And I do really love to see other fishermen down here. But if I'm being honest, if I'm casting out, I'll start wading the opposite direction once I see them, so they don't get any of my spots or nothing. Because a lot of you who know me are probably going to be able to retrace my steps, using landmarks that you see on the camera, and get my spots. And if you want to do that, fine, go ahead, fish my spot. I just ask that you be respectful to the fish and keep the area clean. And, don't overfish it. If you're catching 50 or 15 fish in like 2 minutes, go ahead and move, just politely, because there's only so many fish in this creek here. And one day I came out here and I was doing so good that I caught about 35 fish. I think I mentioned it in my video yesterday. And I was constantly moving spots because, when you're fishing the same hole and catching a ton of fish, you gotta expect some of them to be the same fish. And catch and release fishing, when done right, is hardly fatal for the fish. From the studies that I've seen and whatnot. Some of them do die, but that's without proper handling and care. And I try and handle them and care for them as good as possible. And also, little fish especially, when they're hooked multiple times, it can actually stunt their growth. I saw a frog get attacked there in the water. That was neat. Got a bunch of spider webs on them. Little fish, when they're hooked at a young age, it can stunt their growth, and it can make them actually unable to feed because the hook point leaves a hole in their mouth. And fish use their mouth basically as big vacuums. Right, so they suck up all the air and it goes through their gills, but they also suck up what's in the water. And that's how they eat little fish. Instead of just, little fish right here and opening its mouth and gulping it down, it sucks in the water around the fish and it bites it right there. It makes it hard for little fish to swim out when a fish gets it, or when another fish goes to bite it. And with a little hole, it breaks the vacuum seal, or the vacuum that they create. And, they're still able to suck fish in, but it makes it harder for them to actually do it effectively. But that's really only on young fish, I would say. Larger fish have bigger mouths, which means more space for air to flow through for the vacuum. But on smaller fish, you know, a hook point that big could be a third of its mouth, especially if you're using barbs. You know, if I'm going for little fish, I'll crimp off the barb. Sometimes, you know, I get little jig heads like this, I'll crimp off the barb. Because I'm not here to hurt the fish. I don't want to hurt the fish. I want to respect the fish and try and minimize as much harm to them done as possible. And so, you know, I'm saying this, and me catching that carp was not a good, accurate representation of that. But I had never caught a carp before. I've caught maybe 50 smallmouth before in my life, and I know how to handle them. I know how to unhook them and make sure that they're not going to die after I release them. And so, I know how to do that, but a lot of people don't. I forgot my original point. We're closing in here. I'm probably not going to fish any longer. It is 8:38 right now, which means it's about 10 or 20 minutes past sunset. You know, the sky is still beaming. It's still real bright. And we still probably got about an hour of sunlight left. But all these woods block out the light and make it so much darker. You know, after I ended my video that I recorded from yesterday, I had to walk through these trails. I'm going to show it here in a minute. I had to walk through these trails, and you know, I get that adrenaline rush where all your hairs stand up, and you start getting a little paranoid. You know, that ancient sort of fight or flight action there. But I walked through and I was fine. You know, there's nothing in these woods that are going to be able to hurt me, unless it's like a bobcat or a coyote, or maybe an adult buck. But you hardly see them things out here. And also, they don't attack humans for food. They only attack humans if you are going to be threatening to them. So when you see a coyote, just stand still. Don't look it in the eyes, but keep it in your peripheral vision. You know, get something out that would allow you to protect yourself in case it did attack you. But if you see a pack of coyotes or a coyote mother with its cubs, you best get out of there. Or if you see a coyote up close, or you see a bobcat up close, just slowly back away from it. Don't make eye contact. Don't appear threatening, and you'll be fine. They actually scare us. You know, a lot of people like to say, oh, they're more scared of you than you're scared of it. And that's true to an extent. So just try and have a sense of security and a sense of being safe out here. But be prepared if things go south. I'm a boxer. I like to box. And I train every week, a couple times every week. You know, and boxing is for humans. It's what humans have deemed the best way of fighting against other humans. You know, there's MMA and there's other combat sports, but punching with your hands up to protect yourself is best against other humans. And while coyotes and bobcats are not human, I at least know how to throw some good punches and protect my head. Whew. So just try and get a way to protect yourself. For me, it's, my boxing. It's not much of a help, but it does help in a sense. If you want to carry a knife, if you're licensed and it's legal to, you can carry a firearm. That's what my papa always did. And you can have pepper spray. Bear spray will, even if you're not in bear country, get rid of a lot of wild animals. You can have it if you want it. If you're, scared enough to want it. But I try not to be scared, and I try and console those feelings. Say nothing's following me, nothing's gonna hurt me. And it works out fine. Croc right there. And it looks like, oh yeah, it's still pretty bright out. But once you get in these woods, you're gonna see. We're coming up on the end of the video here. Sorry for the length. I got a little carried away. We didn't catch a fish today, but had a nice good talk to you guys. Just had a good time wading out in the creek and trying out this new rig. I think it's quite nice. I want y'all to let me know if it's a little too much for, a beginning fishing channel, or if it's too little and you need a little bit more stabilization, or if it's just right. Because I'm still new to this, y'all. I've seen a lot of people do fishing videos like this, and they got like expensive rigs from Amazon and stuff. I slapped together a couple parts from old camera equipment, and it's been working fine, I feel like. Eventually I do want to get a GoPro, or a nice video camera, but this is still, I'm actually quite enjoying, just getting out and recording myself. We got to go through some rapids here. Getting out and record myself. Just having a good time. Talking, sharing some stories. I got a lot of stories to tell. It's just not enough people want to hear them. So if you have any inquiries, any questions, I was talking about earlier in the video, if you want advice, I'll make a personalized video for you, and I'll try to respond in the best way possible, best, most informative way possible. And if you enjoyed watching this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it just makes me smile a little bit, seeing my subscriber count go from 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Because that means that one other person saw my stuff and liked it enough to be able to, interact with it. And so, just seeing little things like that motivates me to keep going. And you know, I'm on my third video here. This will be. They're already really long. I'm not the best editor, but just being able to see that I'm actually reaching some people and being able to do and share what I love to other people is really quite special to me. It's fun just coming out here and recording and talking. You know, because a lot of the time I come out here and just sit in silence. And that's nice. It's really nice. But it's also really fun to just get some of your thoughts out and act like you're talking to another person that's listening to you. And I don't know how many people I'm going to reach. I don't know how many people are going to watch this video through. But if you do, I'd love to hear any feedback, anything that you would have done differently. You know, again, I'm still starting out with this stuff. I've never entirely done some of this stuff before. Hope y'all like the new horizontal rig. I'm probably going to keep it for the rest of my videos, for the rest of what I record. And I'm going to try and get some shorter videos out here, just so I'm not talking for an hour and 20 minutes, however long this video is going to be. But it was good to be out here. Peak on the Creek is heading out. See you guys.